support our community.
When you have a dollar in a community and it goes around and around, I mean, if you're not in the community, because they're replacing you, is my understanding.
Yeah, they're replacing all. Yeah, the Anchorage is not slowing down at all. All the pilots that are they're getting laid off or furloughed, we're all going to be replaced by folks coming from other parts of the UPS system, and they'll. But again, nobody knows how long this is going to go or what's going to happen really. So very few are actually going to move here. They'll just be commuters. They'll come in, get a crash pad, and commute through is what you're going to see. You know, it might be a few families move up, but very few. And so the Anchorage will definitely we'll see less money in the community.
Will people leave? Do you think some of the furloughed?
Most.
Really, most of them will go.
Yeah, there's a couple of us that were here before, because if you don't have Anchorage isn't the cheapest place to live. You know, a lot of folks came
I've
from.
noticed.
There's from the south or other places that.
But it's worth it.
Yeah, if you can find work.
If you can find work and you don't really need to call 911 to get any help on the mud flats or up on Flat Top because we have such a great mayor. This is the part where you boo. No, but I'm wondering, I'm looking, I've been watching in the press, I've been watching to see who's putting out any sort of weight, like, hold the phone, there's a crisis here. We're going to lose great jobs. Each one of those jobs creates at least 3 other jobs that we can track reasonably speaking, that sort of thing. We've been hearing for the last year that this city is in a financial crisis like we've never seen, even though we just found $10 million. How can we just let those jobs walk out of here without putting up at least a flipping press release or fighting for the jobs? I mean, it's really, as a resident, this affects me, that you're losing your job. And I don't mean to be such a selfish bitch about it, but come on.
Well, no, I mean, a lot of the guys that I fly with have already, they've already sold their house even before because they, now's not the best time to be selling. So they're trying to, once the furloughs were announced, some folks even sold before because they weren't sure what was going on. But after February, a lot of the guys have sold their houses, moved. Some folks had been, UPS, if you signed a 3-year contract to move here for 3 years, seat lock, they would pay to move you up here, but it was a one-way move. So now they're furloughing them up here, and then they're stuck. So a lot of folks have families. Yeah, you see some guys here that are in the audience.
That's how a lot of people got to Alaska.
Yeah, they can't leave. Yeah, suckers.
Yeah.
Get you up here and you can't leave. So anyway, that's.
It's kind of a recruitment.
And that's really one of the main reasons why a lot of guys are not going to move up here that are going to replace them. They don't know how long they're going to be up here. If UPS does start calling these guys back, they're going to have to put out bids for aircraft and domiciles, and people are going to start getting moved around again. And the guys that are going to be commuting through, that are going to replace the guys that are getting laid off, they'll be commuting through from the lower 48, and they may only be actually based up here for a few months or a year or 2 years. I mean, they don't have any idea, so they're certainly not going to make the commitment to spend the time and effort, relocate their families, and then think, well, I might only be here 12 months, and then I'm going to be back down in Kentucky or Florida or, wherever else they want to put them.
Right. So it's less kids in the schools,
Yes.
less taxpayer, people participating in that. I mean, there's so many things that affect the community, and really, I wasn't kidding. It does affect everybody, and to explain that to residents who are like, I don't fly UPS, they don't got a frequent flyer program. It's like, well, and you're not freight. If you're flying UPS, you're in a box. And you probably don't want that frequent flyer plan. But honestly, it's affecting all of us on different levels. And I think so much of what we've seen in the last years about labor issues, issues that are coming up for you guys certainly, have come from people saying, knock, knock, you need to pay attention to these guys over here.
Well, Shannon, you were talking about the budget crisis here earlier, and I think one thing a lot of people don't realize, there's about 180 crew members who do not actually live here, that are based here, and when they're laid off, the state of Alaska, the city of Anchorage is going to be paying their unemployment insurance for all 262, including the 180 that don't live here. That's nearly $5 million a year in revenue loss for the state too.
Wow. Hadn't thought of that. All right, well, I'm going to think about it on this break. You can too. And then we'll be back in just a couple of minutes with your questions for our panel. All right. Okay, great. All right. All right, that was lovely. Okay, so I wish I could wake up like that every day. That would be awesome. Okay, so we have questions for our panel, which is great. From our audience, you're welcome to come down to Bernie's on Thursday nights, most Thursday nights, check the website, at 5:30. So here's a question for Scott. This voluntary program, was it ever implemented, or was that just savings just on paper?
What happened was last March, late February, March in 2009, they came to us with this problem of, hey, we need to come up with savings like Bob talked about. We negotiated with them for a couple of 3 months, these voluntary programs, the details, how to implement it, how to get it set up so that we could actually run this. UPS signed off on it, and we actually implemented this where a lot of our guys that are on the chopping block right now went down to half pay, went to no pay, went into job share programs. It was heavily weighted in those the junior people that were threatened, but also throughout the seniority list. For about 9 months, we were participating in this program, so it wasn't something that was, we did this for a while.
Wait a minute. That's really hinky. It was, let's make a deal and save the jobs, and so you made the deal, and now you're on furlough. That blows.
Oh, it gets better. It gets better. At the beginning of the year, after they upped the ante and we had some more savings, okay, for 2010, going into 2011, they took the savings for the first 3 months of 2010 and then furloughed anyway.
Wow. Well, you know what? That's just not very nice.
No, that's not very nice.
That would get you beat up on a playground. I mean, that's just
Unethical.
That's unethical. Thank you. Well, you know what? They're corporations. Corporations are like sharks, and they're all about the bottom dollar, which is why you need people to stand up and fight for people, also known as unions. What is the airline? This is for Bob. What is the airline mission statement, and do you think it still applies? What is the?
Remember it? I can't.
What is it? If it's brown, fly it around the world? I
To
don't know.
be the safest, most cost-efficient airline where our people enjoy coming to work.
Well, you guys do, though. You love flying.
Oh, yeah.
I do love the flying.
There's no way in hell you get on an airplane for that much time if you didn't love it.
You gotta
And
like
it's got to
what
be a
you're doing.
rush.
You gotta like what you're doing.
Like, except for the ooh, you could crash this thing. It's got to rock. I would love it if it wasn't for gravity. I would just be like, woo! But yeah, that's why I like boats. I can get out and
sink.
swim. I can get out and swim, though. I can't get out and fly.
Not in the Bering Sea.
You got a point. Is there a chance UPS could be caught with their pants down?
We certainly hope not.
Look, I know they're into packages, but as volume starts to increase, especially at peak, we're going to be shipping fish and everything else. So,
Absolutely.
what happens?
It takes time to get guys kicked out onto the street. Larry's training his replacements. Those guys come in. It takes a couple months to get those people trained.
And you're training them.
He's training them. He's doing the
Yeah, he's
simulators
training
for
the
these
guys that are
guys.
going to replace him. You gotta like that too.
You know what's really amazing is that the company trusts that you're a good enough person that you're going to do that job really well.
Even after they, yeah.
Even after there, it's like, we're furloughing you. We want you to train your replacements on a piece of equipment that would cost us how many dollars to replace?
Millions,
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know what 747-400's going for these days.
About 200 million.
Neat. Wow, they really trust you.
So once they get these guys out the door, if we have a big spike in business, that same timeline to get people trained back up and in the right places, they just can't turn it on and say, hey, go fly this jet. It's like, hey, go fly this jet. It's like, okay, start the simulator program, go to IOE,
Will
get
you
all
have to
sorted
go
out.
through that again if you're hired back?
Depends on the time frame, but yeah, I'd have to anything I'll have to go through training. But then they also got to train the guys that now that are going back to where they were. So it's a huge. It's not just me getting or us getting trained. It's everybody else going back to where they came from. It's a huge nightmare.
Well, to address the
It
question,
doesn't sound cost effective.
really, could they be caught with their pants down? We think they will be because our major competitor is buying airplanes and hiring people, getting ready to hire people right now, while we're getting ready to park airplanes and lay people off. So yeah, we think they are going to get caught with their pants down.
Can't wait to see those commercials.
What can Brown do for you?
Yes. What can Brown do for you with your pants down? Did you?